Hey everybody, Mod Tim here, coming at you live. So, we're all in quarantine. We're all doing kind of the best that we can. I actually just also got laid off on my job because I was deemed like an essential worker. And so finally now I can kind of do this whole thing. Little Bear's here with me. Hi, Little Bear. So anyways, so I woke up because I took a nap. It's like midnight or something, my time, Pacific time. And the group leader, Alex, the creator of this entire geek group, the guy that brought us all together, posted a video, his podcast, doing basically a live AMA, and just basically like 20 questions is what it was. And he just posted 20 questions, and then he challenged me. He's like, hey, why don't you go ahead and do it? So I was like, okay, but you know what? I'm actually going to go up a little bit more. I'm going to actually do a live video. So I love Alex. I know Alex. We've hung out multiple times, and he's a great guy. I didn't actually watch his video. I'm not gonna lie, because as soon as I saw like I challenged him, I was like, bring it. Let's do this. By the way, like I said, we're in quarantine. We all handle quarantine different. Today's video is brought to you by Crystal Head Vodka. So, I didn't actually listen to his questions or his answers or anything like that, but I copied it and pasted it. So I actually kind of have the questions around there. Some of you guys might remember last year I did a lot of live videos. I was doing Star Trek reviews all of last year. And then I kind of switched it to YouTube. So I started doing like youtube.com/Tim the Reviewer, and I just started doing videos over there because it was too much for this group. So I think that's why Alex was like, hey, why don't you go ahead and do this? So I was like, okay, here we go. So again, I don't even know what these questions are going to be, so hopefully they're going to be fun. And then the reason I'm also doing this live as an AMA is if you guys want to ask questions, you guys can go ahead and pop up. I think it should just pop up, I hope. It's been a long time since I've done a live video. So, the first question is, what were the 5 most important video games to you throughout your teen years? Oh, why is it a video game? I don't do video games. Like, that's so hard. So for me, God, let's see. I grew up primarily in the 90s. I remember having like the original Nintendo and being in like elementary school and having to like pause it and then go to school and be like, God, I hope my mom doesn't turn off the TV or the game or anything like that. I'm just going to poke this button and see what that does. Nope, doesn't do anything. Okay. So probably the most important video games to me were Mario Brothers. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but Mario Brothers 2, Mario Brothers 3, because I remember those primarily. Let's see. My first Game Boy was Game Boy Color, and I got Pokemon Yellow. So I want to say Pokemon Yellow really had an impact. What was it? 5 games? Oh, what's another game that I played? So I don't even remember what game it is, but it's kind of stuck with me. Maybe, I think it was Spy Hunter, where you actually play a car and you're driving and a plane like drops things on you and it gives you like the ability to shoot things. Like that one stood out to me. I think that's about it. What celebrities do you have a crush on? Well, yeah, so my husband is standing 6 feet away from me, so thanks for that question. I would say, I don't know, what celebrities do I have a crush on? He's not nothing, just flat, like, fuck you. I am very interested in Kate Beckinsale. She's been a big one for a long time. Underworld. Underworld changed my life. I feel like the entire world has a crush on Tom Holland, especially with the lip sync battle. Like that's a big one.
Rest in peace, Anton Yelchin.
Yes, I did have a big crush on Anton Yelchin. Like I legit. Oh God, I'm gonna get teary-eyed. I've drank too much for that.
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for that. Like, I legit remember where I was. I was at work in the deli, and my best friend texted me, and he's like, Anton Yelchin just died. And like I like sat on the floor, like I couldn't even comprehend it. So that was an emotional experience for me. So we'll just move on from that. The last show you saw is getting a crossover with the last game you saw. What is it? The fuck does that mean? Okay, so the last game that I saw or the last game that I played? I'm going to say it's like the last game I played. So the last show that I saw, I am currently watching Clone Wars because I'm doing reviews for that on my YouTube. So Clone Wars is going to be the last show. And the last game that I played? What was the last game that we played? Far Cry 5? I think it was Far Cry 5. So Clone Wars in Far Cry 5? I don't even know what that would be like. Some sort of religious cult, which would be the Empire. I don't know. I feel like it would actually work. I think it'd be pretty good. You guys aren't saying anything. It's actually pretty quiet. So I don't know. Maybe I don't have the chat on or something. But whatever. If you want to get on there and throw a comment just to see if it pops up for me. Jordan. What character... Oh, God, where would I be? The last show you saw... What would a terrible mutant power be? I love this question. So, because I already have an answer. Hey, look, Jordan's watching. So... I don't know if this is a terrible mutant power or a great mutant power, but there's an X-Men character called Forget-Me-Not. And basically his mutant power, he's basically the Silence for those that watch Doctor Who. And like people, as soon as they kind of walk away from him, they forget who he is. Like, they don't know who he is. And so every now and then, if you're reading an X-Book comic, Forget-Me-Not pops up, and everybody's like, who are you? And he's like, I've been part of the team for like 10 years. Like, just stop. Why? Why don't you remember me? Did you comment? Did you say something? No, say something. Comment. So, I don't know. I feel like that would be a really terrible mutant power. But then at the same time, I'm so introverted that, like, to just kind of be forgotten, I feel like it would actually work. So I'm okay with that. So, I don't know. Off the top of my head, that's the best mutant power, like the worst mutant power I could come up with is Forget-Me-Nots. I'm also going to say my favorite mutant power is if I could be any mutant or any character, I guess, comic book character, superpower, whatever, I would actually say is the Spectre is my favorite. To be able to like transform and be intangible and be invisible and everything like that, like that would easily be my favorite, like who I would be if I could be anybody. Which character, wait, what's, oh God, there's drinking and reading questions that are not numbered. What's the first scary movie that kept you up all night as a kid? My favorite horror movie ever, easily in my top 10 favorite movies ever, is actually The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. I absolutely loved it. Like, at the time, I was probably young when I watched it. I mean, Kurt Russell, Keith David, the movie's great. The movie came out in the 80s, and there's a character named Windows, and there's a character named Mac. Like, the movie was ahead of its time. So I absolutely love The Thing. I've seen the original, The Thing from Another World. I've seen the prequel. Like, I love that movie. And it definitely kept me up all night as a kid. Because I remember also kind of, like, a little bit later, like, I'd seen it as a kid and I loved it. And then later on in life, I actually did studies, like film studies. I went to school for film study. And I remember reading why The Thing is so unique. And part of the reason is, if you look at most horror movies, they're slasher movies. So like Freddy Krueger or Jason or Michael, they have a phallic symbol and it's them chasing like a woman. Is primarily the thing. Is this guy with a giant knife chasing a woman to like put it in her. Is the typical horror movie. The Thing is the opposite. The entire cast is all men, and the whole premise is the alien bringing the men into the alien. And like, I was like, that makes so much sense. Like, it's the opposite of the traditional horror movie. So that movie has really, really stood out to me. So I loved The Thing. Which Chris is the hottest? Hemsworth, Evans, Pratt, or Pine. My husband, without a doubt, is going to say Chris Pratt, which is funny because my favorite TV show in the whole world is Everwood, which Chris Pratt was like 19 or 20 in that show. Like, he's super young, but yet he won't watch it because he thought it was boring. I don't like Chris Pine. I'm not really a big Chris Evans fan, so I'm going to go with Hemsworth, but I'm going to go with younger Hemsworth. Like, I don't, not to quote Rocky Horror, but like, I don't like a man with too many muscles. Whereas, like, when he's Thor, he's scary. But if you ever see him, like, outside of Thor, where he's, like, just super thin, like, he actually doesn't look too bad. So, which Chris is the hottest? I'm going to go with Hemsworth. The hottest video game character. Why is this all about hot? Like, this is Alex. Alex made this list. Okay. The hottest video game character? I don't know. Like, I don't really play video games. I know the new Jedi Order game, like, the main character is voiced by the guy that played Ian in Shameless. So I guess I'll go with him, the ginger. Otherwise, like, I don't know. I feel like something cliche, like Link or something. I don't know. Like, that's a weird one. What do you do to stay fit? Yeah, nope, that's the answer right there. I drink and I watch anime all day. Like, there's no staying fit here. Ugh, fuck, this is a setup. I'm regretting doing this, but I don't know how far into it I am, so I can't stop. Anyone a fan of Star Trek Discovery or Picard? So, no. I hate both of them. Like, really, really hate both of them. Again, I have my whole YouTube channel that branched out from this. I started doing videos just for this geek group because I was like, how can I as a mod connect with people more? I'm going to do videos, I'm going to do reviews, I think it'll be fun. And then that's when somebody else was like, you should post these on YouTube so it'll be easier to find them. And I was like, that's not a bad idea. And so I started posting my videos on YouTube. And I was like, well, here, if you guys want to watch, like, go here. And then, of course, it, like, backfired to be like, you're just promoting your channel! And it's like, first you guys told me it'd be easier, and now you're just complaining, like, whatever. So I kind of stopped posting videos here, and I kept going there. So here in this group, I did the original series, I did The Next Generation, I did Deep Space Nine, I did Voyager, I think I even did Enterprise in the group. And then I stopped because Discovery was so recent. But again, if you go to the YouTube, I did reviews for every episode of Discovery and Picard. I hate both of them. Like, I really, really hated both of them. Season 2 of Discovery wasn't as bad as Season 1. I did think it was better. I did like Pike. And I am a little bit more excited for Season 3 for Discovery. I'll admit that. I absolutely hated Season 1, though. And Season 2 felt like it was fixing Season 1, where it's like, oh, the Klingons have hair now. Oh, we're going to do this, just to kind of fix it. And I was like, okay. Picard, to me, was a hot fucking mess. Like, everything about that was just rough. I don't know. If you guys want more details, I can go into more details. But everything about it was rough for me. I did not like it. I got my first comment. J. Dylan Stanton, what's the worst comic book storyline you've read recently? That's hard. I'm not gonna lie. That's really hard. So for me, I am a comic book nerd. Like, I actually used to work at a comic book shop. I loved comics. I read comics. God, Michael Bendis was actually my teacher in college. Like, I got to, like, go out and drink coffee with him. Like, I'm that comic person. That being said, that was 9 years ago. So, I sold out to the man. I started working retail. I did what I had to do to get by. I did what I had to do to support my family, like the dogs that have abandoned me just now. And so, especially in the last, 24 months? The last 2 years, roughly, I have pretty much stopped doing everything that I enjoy, to be honest with you. Like, I have not read a comic. I have not read a novel. I have not written anything. I used to write all the time. I haven't done any of that in at least a year, probably coming up on 2 years. And so that's part of the reason I decided to leave my job, was because it was like sucking the enjoyment. I would come home, I would throw back 4 or 5 shots, and I would just park myself in front of the TV to forget everything that I had just endured. And so that's why I kind of left the job that I was doing. All of that explanation, I haven't really read a comic book storyline in like a year or two. So I want to give you a good answer, which is the reason why I'm explaining this. Probably the worst storyline I've read in the last 10 years is actually going to be Final Crisis. I hated Final Crisis. I was a DC fanboy. Like, I am a DC fanboy. Like, you have no idea. And I was just like, what? I'm not a big fan of Grant Morrison, I think, who like was the primary writer for Final Crisis. And every decision he made, I didn't like it. And so after Final Crisis came back, I took a step back from DC, and I was like, okay, what's going on with this? And then when they did the New 52, I was like, no, I'm fucking out. Like, I'm done. I cannot do it. And so I haven't actually gone back to DC since the New 52 came out. Thank you. So I haven't really gone back. I've like dipped my finger in the water, I guess, occasionally, where I'm just like, okay, what's the pulse for DC right now? And Bendis is actually in DC now, and I haven't read his stuff yet because, like I said, I haven't read anything. And also, we recently moved. Well, recently, it was like 2-3 years ago. We moved, and when all of my changes at work were happening, and so I had to get a new like comic box at the comic shop, at the new local comic shop, because I moved towns. And the dude was a dick. Like, fuck that guy and fuck that whole store. And after about like 3 months, I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I hate you. Like, especially as somebody who, like I said, I worked at a comic book store, and comic book people, like those types of people, are usually the worst people. And I hate to say that. I really do. But like, that's the whole reason I left that job, is because people, they're mean. Like, nerds are mean people. And that's why I'm always like, try as forgiving as I can. Like, I don't care what it is. If you like it, you fucking read that book. It doesn't matter what it is. If you like it, I want you to enjoy it. And like, because I remember, like, at the time, I was with my best friend's 10-year-old. I was babysitting. And he was like 10 or 12. And we walked in the shop because I had to get like my paycheck and stuff. And then as we walked in, one of the other workers was like, hey man, so what's your favorite like superhero movie? And he's like, I like the Fantastic Four. And this man, this 30-year-old man looked at this 12-year-old boy and he's like, you're kind of dumb if you like that movie. The next day is the day I quit. I was like, dude, he's fucking 12. Like, leave him alone. Like, if somebody likes something, let them enjoy it. It is what it is. So, I don't know. That's my whole spiel. So, what's the worst comic book storyline? Probably Final Crisis, because that's probably the last big storyline I read. God, now you guys are saying stuff. It's hard to keep up. And to flip that, to make it more positive, but did you enjoy the DC animated movies? They are based in the New 52 universe. I do. Again, with my YouTube channel, I'll post a link. I didn't post a link. So my best friend Chucky comes over every couple of weeks. We are actually doing reviews. I've been posting the reviews, I think, in this group. We've been doing reviews of all the DC animated movies, starting from the first one in 2007 with Superman Doomsday, and we're making our way through. And yes, they are based in the New 52 universe, but some of them are actually really well done. They're better executed than the actual comic book storyline, in my opinion. Like, the new Justice League Dark Apocalypse was fucking brilliant. Like, I loved it. So, if you're curious more specifically movie to movie, Again, I'll post my YouTube link, and then you can actually watch all of those. Because we just watched Superman Unbound, and we're about to start Justice League Flashpoint probably next week. So thank you for that. Nerds are notorious gatekeepers. They are. People are so gatekeepy, and that's the thing. Like, even as a mod for this group, I have to, like, that's the thing that I don't understand is, like, I'll be scrolling, and so I'll keep it vague. I'll come across a post, and it's like, I love this movie. And in my mind, I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking movie of all time. Like, why do you like that? And then do you know what I do? I just scroll past it. I don't say, like, oh, like, this is clearly what you think. Like, it's not that hard to be basic human beings and to just be like, you like what you like, I'm gonna like what I like, and we don't have to start conflict. Like, I don't know, it's weird. So, like I said, most comic book shops, it's so hard because they are so gatekeeper. I was going to say, to get out of the negativity, the worst comic book story, my favorite, so I like DC, I do like DC. My favorite DC comic is probably The Long Halloween. I am a huge fan of Marvel, especially the Ultimate Universe. I loved the Ultimate Universe. I thought it was great. Was that one of the questions? No, the question was who's the hottest video game character. Probably one of the hottest comic book character is going to be like Ultimate Peter Parker. Mark Bagley can draw like Peter in his underwear like no other. Stop it. Come here. Ugh. This is Low Belly, by the way. Hi, Low Belly. And so, I did like the Ultimate Universe. Like, I like Miles. I like everything like that. It's great. But I am actually more of an IDW fan. Like, I love IDW, specifically Transformers. Look at that custom Transformers drawn picture right there. And the IDW Transformers is probably the greatest comic book storyline ever. If you guys get the chance, All Hail Megatron is it's not the first story in that series, but it is a fantastic like jumping on point. Like, I love Transformers. I'm a G1 Transformers. I just anything Transformers. I absolutely love it. So if you guys ask what's the worst, I'm going to try to bring it back to the pop. Whatever. By the way, trivia, if anybody can tell me who Low Belly is named after, you're not going to win anything. I don't have money. I'm unemployed, so. But whatever. Hi, Low Belly. And then I don't know where his brother is, so. Anyways. Stay fit. Favorite horror movie? It's the same question as before. It's definitely The Thing. Do I have another favorite horror movie? I don't think Cabin in the Woods counts as a horror movie because it's an allegory. It's actually satire, kind of like Scream. So many people, like, it's difficult for me to talk about Scream with people because people think Scream is a horror movie. And I'm like, Scream is satire. Like, it's literally like making fun of horror movies. And Cabin in the Woods is the same way. Like, I loved Cabin in the Woods. So that's not quite a horror movie, but I'll throw that in there. There's always the classics. I loved the new Nightmare of Nightmare on Elm Street, the one where they're like Robert Englund is playing himself, stuff like that. That was surreal. Can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. But again, it is midnight and I have been drinking all fucking day long. Favorite American Horror Story series? Fuck. You guys are killing me right now. I don't like American Horror Story. And I kind of hated it, actually. My husband loves it, who actually just left the room. So I can't ask him. I tried. Like, God. I want to piss so many people off, but you guys are kind of quiet, so I'm okay with it. If you guys have questions that are unrelated to this, please just keep popping them up and I will answer them. American Horror Story, Ryan Murphy, to me, is like George Lucas. That's who I compare him the most to. Like, I think George Lucas is a super talented director. I think he's a great conceptualist. I think he's just bad at executing. So, like, he comes up with brilliant ideas. He just can't do it the way that he sees it. Ryan Murphy's the same way. I think Ryan Murphy comes up with great ideas, but he can't execute them the way that he wants to do them. So like Glee, look at the first couple seasons of Glee, they're pretty enjoyable. The last few seasons, he's like, how the fuck do we end this? No idea. The same, I actually did like American Crime Story. The first season, the one that was all about like OJ, I actually did really enjoy that one. Scream Queens was not bad, but then when we get to like American Horror Story, like Murder House was not bad. I enjoyed Murder House. And The Coven was not bad. I enjoyed that one. I did not like Freak Show. I hated Asylum. To me, Asylum was probably the worst. I didn't like Hotel. And then finally, like my husband loves all of them. And then we finally got to Cult. And I was like, you know, I've been watching this show for you for like 8 seasons. And we got to Cult. And I was like, nope, I am done. I cannot do it anymore. And so he watched Cult. I stopped. And then Apocalypse came out. I have not watched it. I have not watched Apocalypse. I have not watched 1984 yet. But Apocalypse is literally like Murder House and The Coven, the 2 seasons that I didn't mind, put together, or so I've been told. So I'm like, oh, do I want to go back? Or is it just like when you get really drunk and you're like, you know, my ex wasn't that bad. And you like text that person. But like, I'm not a big American Horror Story fan. I'm sorry, I try, but I can't. I'm not a big fan. What did you think about movies like Midsommar and Hereditary? Hereditary I thought was boring as fuck. I did not like it. Like, as we were watching it, I was like, okay. So, this is the Geek Group. I honestly, not to like brag, I think I mod more groups than any other person, besides Alex, obviously. Because I mod the Geek Group, the Horror Group, the Anime Group, the Pokemon Group, the Horror Group. I think I'm in every single group except for like the travel, the singles, and the movie, which is weird because I should be in the movie, but whatever. So if you do like the horror movies, I would recommend our horror movie group. So that being said, there's a little plug right there for you. Hereditary, I didn't like it. Like the whole girl and the plank thing was, okay, whatever. But like, I don't know, I just thought it was boring. Midsommar was actually not bad. By the time I saw it, it was so built up. And that's the thing, is my goal is always to watch movies before they get built up, because by the time I saw Midsommar, it was like the greatest horror movie of the year. And I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. You're indie. I don't know. To me, it was, I don't want to say pretentious, but it was a little over the top. Like, I don't know. I had such high expectations at that point that by the time I watched it, I was like, this is fucking it? Like, okay, it's crazy cult people. Like every horror movie ever. So, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to say I hated Midsommar, but I didn't think it was as great as most people did. If you were offered a tour of Dracula's castle, would you go? Why the fuck not? I don't care. It's a weird one. You've been... Oh, God. You've been kidnapped. The last character you played is coming to save you. Who is going to save you? Why? Why is it video games? I don't get the video games. Low Belly. Who's going to save us? Are you going to save me? Look at that. Look at that face. Like, he's the cutest ever. Like I said, I think the last video game I played is Far Cry 5, and it's been a few months. So, who's the main character? You're the main character of the game. So, I don't know. Like, I kept falling off cliffs and dying. So, if that's who's gonna save me, I'm probably fucked. So, okay. What character would you leave your partner for? Who made these questions? Alex, how drunk are you? I've been married for 10 years. 10 years is a long time. I don't care what video game character is coming. Like, I'd be more scared of Jordan. Jordan's a Gemini. Jordan's crazy. That being said, any character by Tom Holland. Any character. Doesn't matter. What video game system did you begin with? Nintendo Classic, the NES, which sucks because they came out with the NES Classic and I kept meaning to buy it and being a procrastinator. And now with the pandemic, those are gone. Like, bye-bye. And I'll admit it, I bought one off of the interweb. I think it was Amazon. Yeah, it was, because I got a refund. I bought one off of Amazon, and it showed up, and it was in, like, Chinese. And then you can, like, obviously, you can look on, like, Google and stuff. Like, if you buy the NES Classic, these are the games you're going to get. The one I bought off of Amazon that's in Chinese are not those games. Like, part of them are. Like, there are some that are in common, like Mario and stuff like that. But, like, the one that I bought has, like, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Which, don't get me wrong, I fucking love that game and I rock that game. But that's not on the NES Classic, as far as I know. So, stuff like that. I was like, okay, so that's a thing. Take an anime title and replace one word with dick. God, is Dick Ball Z too cliche? Cowboy Dick instead of Cowboy Bebop. Ergo Dick instead of Ergo Proxy. I mean, we could go super simple and just be like Dick instead of like Naruto. That's just like one title, just like, or instead of like One Piece, One Dick. I don't know. That one's rough. If you had to be a Nova Core or Lantern Core, what will you choose? Oh, fuck, that's a hard question. I'm not gonna lie, if you could throw up the colors for me real quick, that would be great. I used to know them. While I stall for time and think about it, I do have a comic book. Like I said, IDW is the greatest comic book story ever. Or the greatest comic book company ever. Because, like, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Like, even though I hated Picard and I hated Discovery, I am a huge Trekkie. And, like, IDW comes out with the craziest shit where it's, like, Star Trek and a Doctor Who crossover. Or Star Trek and Transformers crossover, which are my two fandoms. I fucking freaked out when I saw that one. And it's the animated series, Star Trek 2. And they actually did a Star Trek Green Lantern crossover where different members of the Star Trek crew were given different rings. It's been a couple years since I've read it, but like I want to say Anton Yelchin. Chekhov. Chekhov was like blue or indigo, whatever it is. I'm not gonna lie, I want to give you an honest answer, and it's been so long. Because I know there's obviously green, which is Will. There's the indigo. It's not Scarlet. Oh, fuck. You know, if you could do me a favor and just throw up the colors, I'll give you a better answer. Otherwise, I'm going to have to think about it. What character, what video game? What is the coolest gay bar you have ever visited in another country? Name of the bar and country, please. I've never left America. Like, I've never even been to Canada. I've never been to Mexico. So I can't. So I live in the Pacific Northwest, the Portland area. So I'm just going to do, fuck it, like some plugs. Like, it's bars that are not even open right now. CC Slaughters is always kind of a cliche. That's a great one. Dollar Drink Night on Wednesdays. So I remember going there all the time when I was in college. There's an actual Doctor Who bar called the TARDIS Room here in Portland. That's pretty bitchin'. It's not a gay bar, but it's the TARDIS Room. So that's cool. Anytime I travel up to Seattle, oh god, I remember there's like Our Place, or there's what other bars did I go to in Seattle? I don't know. That's about the only one, because it was like 4 stories, and me as like 19 was like, it's a 4-story bar. So Seattle kind of blew my mind as a young person. So I don't know. That one's hard for me as somebody who's never really left the country. Where is the one travel destination that you would go back to in a heartbeat, and why? I think this is why Alex pre-recorded it, and my dumbass was like, let's get drunk and do it live. So my father was in the military, and I've lived in Washington, Oregon, California, Virginia, Massachusetts, Arkansas, at least 6 different states, at least 12 different locations in the 6 different states. So I've traveled everywhere. I've been to every state but 4 in my lifetime for the U.S., obviously, whatever. So like traveling and stuff like that is nothing to me. Like I don't care. It is what it is. I have been in the Portland area, the Pacific Northwest, the last 15 years. And I'm like, okay, that's it. Like, I'm good. I don't need to travel. I'm done. My husband, who we've been married for the last 10 years, has never left the state. So anytime we talk and he's like, I kind of want to go here. And I'm like, it's overrated. Well, I kind of want to go here. And I'm like, that's not too bad. Like, that's a good one. But he's never really been anywhere. And so we always talk about doing road trips or traveling or stuff like that because he's never been anywhere. He's never been on a boat. He's never been on a plane. He's never been on a train. He's never traveled. And so where is the one travel destination that you would go back to in a heartbeat, and why? The place that I grew up the most, like I said, 6 states before I was 13, was actually San Francisco. I was in San Francisco probably the longest, from 3rd grade to 6th grade. So I was a youngin'. I was a wee lad. But that was probably the place that I spent the most of my time. And again, my husband, who has never left the state, we can't throw a rock in any direction. Like, legit. We will just be driving down the road, going to get like coffee or something like that. And he's like, I have so much heartburn from drinking. And he's like, oh, that's where I went to elementary school. Oh, that's where my best friend's house was. Oh, that's where this was. And he'll just like random facts. Like, when I was a kid, that was just a field. And now it's a Bi-Mart. So stuff like that. Whereas for me, I don't have any of those types of stories or memories or anything like that because I'm actually relatively new here. So if I could go to any travel destination, it would actually be San Francisco, because then like it would be the opposite. For one, it would be the most traveling he's ever done. And then it's the same thing. I could be like, hey, there's Alcatraz, where I've been. Hey, there's Treasure Island, where I grew up. Hey, there's Washington Park, where I broke my arm because I fell off the swing, and stuff like that. So for me, like, I don't care because traveling doesn't mean anything to me. But I would like to be able to take my husband to my childhood home, if that makes sense. Otherwise, I don't know, like Branson, Missouri was pretty bitchin'. Like, I loved Branson, Silver Dollar City, stuff like that. I loved Atlanta, Georgia. I also grew up a lot in the South. Atlanta, Georgia was great with the mountain. So stuff like that was pretty good. I think that's about all I got for travel. Like, I'm not a big traveling person. I know I've been to New York City, but I was really little, so I don't remember it. But I don't know. I don't have like a strong urge to go to big cities. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. Thoughts on the new Penny Dreadful? I don't have thoughts on the old Penny Dreadful. I've never seen Penny Dreadful. So again, for my YouTube, I'm going to keep talking about it because that's really all I've ever done. Is I keep doing TV shows, and I've done over 1,000 reviews on my YouTube of different TV shows. And so Penny Dreadful is one that's on there. So I'll leave that up to you guys. I legit have a Word document where I keep all of the shows that I'm watching or I'm going to watch. Should Penny Dreadful move up? My best friend Chucky, like I said, he's doing the Star Wars reviews with me right now, and he's also doing the DC animated movie reviews with me right now. Wants me to do Black Mirror next. Should we just do Penny Dreadful? I don't know. I don't have any views on Penny Dreadful. Thoughts on the new blank? I just watched the new season of Clone Wars. That was fucking breathtaking. I don't know who's seen it and who hasn't, so I will not do spoilers. But there's a lot of Solo references that I thought were kind of interesting. So that was super awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of more curious what show should I watch if I should watch Penny Dreadful. So let me know about that. I love how there's only like 2 of you that's asking questions. Again, it's midnight on the Pacific Northwest, so I'm assuming most people are asleep right now, or anybody watching is in like Europe. So I'm still okay with it. Have you ever been to San Diego Comic-Con? I have not. So I originally started doing my YouTube videos and my reviews and stuff like that because I had just been promoted to management in the job that I was doing. And I have difficulty talking with people in person. Like, I'm socially awkward, and I get it. I know it. It is what it is. And that's why I was like, I talked to Alex, and I was like, I love Star Trek. What if I did, like, reviews and stuff, and maybe it'll help me with those communication skills? And that's why Alex was like, yeah, go for it. And I did it for a while, and it seemed to work. But I have difficulty communicating with people in person. And so, and I mean, maybe that's why the last year has been hell for me. But, so, as I said earlier, I live in Portland. So I try to go to the Portland Comic-Con every year, and I try to go to the Seattle Comic-Con every year. Because it's perfectly right there. San Diego, for one, the first time I went to Seattle Comic-Con, it was 2011, and it was a bad experience. It was right after my mom had died. My mom and I had actually bought tickets to go together, and my mom died, and then I had to go by myself. And like, it's a classic story. Who cares? I'm doing a live video, whatever. I got super drunk. I ended up throwing up, and I popped the blood vessels in my eye. And my original sci-fi crush, Wil Wheaton, because I loved Wesley, was there. And I met Wil Wheaton, and he was like, "What, are you wearing contacts? Like, what's wrong with your eyes?" And I was like, "No, what are you talking about?" And I went to the bathroom, and that's where I realized my eye, like, I had popped the blood vessels. And I was like, oh, fuck, that's a thing now. So there's actually a picture of the 2 of us, and I'm kind of squinty. And you can't see it, but you can clearly tell one eye is darker than the other. So that was like my first Comic-Con. So I went there for the first time, 2011, and like there were rooms that were blocked off. They were like, don't go here, or don't go to this floor, or don't go anywhere. And then last year, my husband and I went. It's the entire building. It's the building next to it. It's the hotel down the street. Like, it's so big, and you just feel claustrophobic the entire time. So, I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. I would love to go. Like, if somebody just showed up and was like, hey, here's a free ticket, let's go. I would go, but I don't think that's even how it works. Like, because I know you have to pay for it, and I know there's like a lottery system, but honestly, there's no way to say this without it sounding dirty, and I know y'all are all perverts, but it's so big, it's intimidating. Ooh. So, no, to answer your question, no, I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con. I'd want to go, but it just seems like it's too big and too much. Like, I feel like I would just kind of freak out the entire time I was there. Because, I don't know, I tend to freak out when I'm around a lot of people. Like, as much as I love Portland and Seattle Comic-Cons, like, there's the times where I start to get claustrophobic, and I'm like, you know what? Nope, it's time to go outside. I gotta smoke a cigarette. I gotta do something. So, it is what it is. Are you not used to that? I don't know what that means. At this point, I'm not used to anything. I'm almost out of my drink. That means the video's almost over. As soon as the drink's over, the video's over. Is this the last question? I think this is the last question. So it doesn't tell me how long this has been going. I feel like this has been going on for a while. The last question, as far as Alex's challenge of 20 questions, what TV show or movie should get a reboot? I'm ready for this. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard that. That felt great. Okay, so I just threw myself under the bus. So, like I said, Wesley was one of my favorite crushes as a kid. My second crush was Jonathan Brandis. Rest his soul. He killed himself. It was very sad. Fucking Sequest was one of my favorite shows growing up. And the sad thing is, it was only 3 seasons, which so was Star Trek, the original series. It was only 3 seasons. It was not great. You watch it now and it is 90s cringeworthy. But God, I love that show. Jonathan Brandis as Lucas and Darwin the Dolphin. If I could do a reboot, there are actually 4 TV shows that I would do a reboot of. The first would be Sequest. I think Sequest is fucking brilliant. I love that show. I think it's great. Peter DeLuise is in there. Michael DeLuise. Like, it's a fantastic fucking show. Ron Schneider, the guy from like Jaws and the Punisher movie. Great TV show. I loved Sequest. That's number 1. Quantum Leap. I think Quantum Leap really deserves a reboot. I would love Quantum Leap. Even if Scott Bakula had a cameo or something, I'd be fine with it. I think Quantum Leap was a great show. I am one of those people. I hated the series finale. I didn't like it. I thought it was rough. But I feel like it would be a great show. They're just Sliders. Sliders needs a reboot. Sliders, again, is one of those shows where, again, you could have Jerry O'Connell or anybody like show up from the original series. But Sliders is one of those where it's legit a freak of the week type TV show. Like, where are we going to go today? And then as it kept going, it kind of fell in that rut of like, we need a ongoing story arc where they had the aliens and they had other stuff. And it's like, nah, stop. Like, you don't need that. Legit, just have it go. Every single episode is a new place. And you're fine. You don't need that. Which actually brings me to my last one. The 4th series I would give a reboot would be Stargate. And it's kind of the same thing. So if you watch TV shows in like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, every episode is its own thing. There is no continuity. They are what they are. Once you got to the 90s, you started getting into like series finales and stuff like that. Like, look at MASH or even Golden Girls, stuff like that, where you got a series finale. Once we started getting into the like 2000s is where like TV changed and you started getting these long story arcs. So for example, like Smallville. I love Smallville. Smallville was very like freak of the week. Like, who is Clark going to beat up today? And then once you start getting into like season 6, and again, Stargate is the same way. Every episode's kind of its own thing. And once you get into about season 6, where like you bring in the Ori and stuff like that, you start getting these long season arcs. Like Supergirl gets her whole season arc. Or like Daniel Jackson being dead gets his whole season arc, that they have to drag it out. And that's where those shows started failing. Whereas if you just kept going with the same formula that you already started with, you would have been fine. Like, it wouldn't have been an issue. Like, Stargate SG-1 could have gone on forever. It could still be on the air if it was just like a, let's see what today's planet's gonna be like. But instead, they were like, let's bring in starships. Let's bring in these aliens that are gonna last a whole season. And that's where they started failing. At least to me. And so, like, I would love to see Stargate return. And, I mean, I don't know. So what TV show or movie should get a reboot? I would love to see Sequest. I'd love to see Sliders. I'd love to see Quantum Leap. And I'd love to see Stargate come back. For me. Which I always love the Stargate, Star Trek parallel. Where, like, seasons 1 through 6 of SG-1 is Star Trek the original series. Stargate SG-1 season 7 through 10 is Star Trek The Next Generation. It's the same premise, it's just it's a different cast. Deep Space Nine, Atlantis, Voyager, Universe, and they each have an animated series that nobody wants to talk about. So, I don't know. Star Trek also now has Discovery, so now we need that weird forced prequel for for Stargate. But I don't know. So that's it. That is the 20 questions that Alex has challenged me to. You guys have been great. I don't know if you guys have any last minute questions. There's actually not many of you watching anymore. But that's fine. It is what it is. That is rough. Anyway, so thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for your questions. Realistically, after I finish this video, it will still post it. So if you guys do have any follow-up questions, I would love to still see them. I would love to still answer them. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. These live videos are a lot of fun. I really do enjoy them. So thank you guys. You guys are always great. For anybody who has like powered through this and also has tuned into my YouTube, I do appreciate it. I mean, there's 60,000 of you on this Facebook group. Any subscribers to the YouTube is always great. So I really do appreciate that. So thank you. And I will see you guys for the next AMA.